Hello and welcome. My name is Stefan Poschik from CHC, and I am the CEO and owner of CHC Corporate Health Consulting. You are watching and listening to the newest episode of our CHC expert interviews. And today I have a very, very special guest. I'm so interested already in the next couple of minutes, I can't even tell you, because she's a genius when it comes to networking. She has tremendous experience, and she's going to introduce herself in a couple of seconds. So if you want to grow your business, develop your personality, if you want to have the best year ever, you are right here watching and listening to us. So hello and welcome, Paula Fellingham. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Stephen. It's such a joy to be here. I'm thrilled to be able to share my heart with those who are in your network and others who are just learning about what you do, and I love what you do. So I need to start with saying the highest priority in my life is my family. I am the mother of 8 children, and I have 26 grandchildren. I've been married 52 years to the love of my life. We met when we were 12. He's a university professor of biostatistics is his major, is his field of expertise. And I am a global mentor, helping women all over the world, healing hearts, educating them, elevating them, empowering them. And I've been doing this for almost 40 years now.
Yes. Unbelievable, Paula. I'm so blessed that you are here, that I can ask a couple of questions. So let's start right into it. First question, in my opinion, when I heard what you did in your life when it comes to networking and bringing women together, I was completely stunned. So what is your secret sauce to networking?
I help women love themselves. It's very simple. When a woman loves herself and she feels that confidence, all of her life is better. She's able to create better relationships. She's able to be more productive. And I didn't tell you at the beginning, but I am blessed to have received awards from the last 3 presidents of the United States. And I've written 8 books. And I have co-presented over 400 live events in 152 nations. So I have been around the world, Stephen, so many times, and I've learned so much from the women. And then I'm able to educate them and help them and really teach them the things that matter in life. And you know, the most important things aren't things. And they really, when you love yourself, when you love others, it's cyclical. It is such a blessing to be able to have a confidence that comes from knowing that you're enough just the way you are. And I teach these principles. I actually teach something that is a little unusual. Most people have one area of expertise, and I started out the first 20 years as a parenting expert, because I thought, if you're going to bring all these children into the world, you need to know what you're doing. And so my first 4 books are How to Strengthen Your Family. They're parenting books. And I'm so blessed to have been able to have opportunities to teach my principles all over the world, and many, many times. And then when I got to the point that I realized that I don't know how to help misbehaving parents, if you will, break the cycle and of doing things wrong. You know, they're trying to parent using their best knowledge the way their parents parented them, and it doesn't always work. And so many parents are frustrated. They lash out in anger. They, what I call, misbehave. And so I needed to learn how to help people stop the cycle of that behavior. And that's when I was 50 years old, and I went back and got my doctorate. My undergraduate degree is in music, but my doctorate is in human relations. It's a doctorate of education. And that helped me then write the book, Believe It, Become It, which is all about controlling your thoughts, words, and actions. It's about agency and about taking control of your life. And that took me in a different direction, because then I started teaching self-mastery. And now I've written a book on all of the areas and teach women everything from how to master their emotions, start and grow a business, lose weight. I mean, it's all those things. It's health and fitness. So there are 7 areas in all of our lives, Stephen: mental, physical, emotional, social, spiritual, financial, and they're all our relationships. So relationships. And that's what then I started honing in on: total life excellence, not perfection, but excellence in every area of a woman's life. And I have, I have 3 sons and this wonderful husband, but I've niched to half the planet, the 3.9 billion women who are living on Earth right now. That was a very long answer to your very short question, Stephen.
That's totally fine. That's totally fine, because it's super valuable in my opinion. And I already got a bunch of notes here on my notepad. So we get this question so many times in our one-on-one coachings, in our CHC Academy, in our sessions, also with employee coaching and stuff like that. So a lot of people have a hard time to love themselves or feel gratitude when a lot of negative things are going on in their life, or when they experience major setbacks. So how can people tap into loving themselves again, or feeling gratitude or experiencing gratitude again when they feel everything is going south and all this negative stuff is happening in their life at the moment?
And I tell women, and you might smile at this, Stephen, to sit in it. Because when things horrific happen, you can't just, put a smile on your face, everything's fine, because it's not. And bad things happen to good people. And women go through horrific things. People go through, I need to expand this for this interview.
No, it's totally fine, because I really want to address this 3.9 billion because we have a lot of women who come in our coaching, and a lot of people also in the HR world where we are working in our consulting services. So please stick.
Yes. And that's my world, is speaking with the women, and yet, of course, the supportive and wonderful men.
Yeah.
But when horrific things happen, and of course they've happened to me, and I have 8 living children, but I lost 5. And don't judge me on that, but I've been pregnant a lot of times, and I felt like I was supposed to have 7, and then I adopted my 8, but I lost children in late-term miscarriages. And not just that, you can't, I'm 74, you can't get to 74 without having a lot of, challenges, right? And instead of just saying, oh, let me just be happy today, when your heart is aching and you're in the depth of despair, you sit in it, you acknowledge it, you say, I am, whatever you're describing, whatever you really are in that moment, you describe it, and you say, I'm going to take a minute. Now, for some women, it takes a long time. It might take, not up to a year, I'm hoping. But they, you have to be able to have the strength then at some point to be able to cope in a better way with it. So let me tell you about this one sweet woman. She came to me after one of my presentations, and she said, oh, Dr. Fellingham, I'm so sad. I've been sad. And I said, oh, darling, what happened? And she said, oh, I lost my husband. He died. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I know that that's just devastating for so many women when they lose their sweethearts. And I'm so sorry. I said, how long ago did he die? And she said, 21 years. Well, now, it took my breath away, because I then had a moment to counsel her and say, there's a time for grieving, and there's a time for healing, and there's a time for getting on with your life. And your sweetheart wouldn't want you to spend 21 years crying.
Yeah.
And so that's an extreme example, Stephen, but you get what I mean, that this is something that you sit in it, you acknowledge it, you cry, you release it, and then you stand up and you do the things that, I know how to teach women how to do that. And let me just give them one little beautiful piece of advice that's helped so many women. So it starts, all of our actions begin with a thought. Of course, we know this. So the minute that thought starts coming in, oh my gosh, how can I do this because this happened? then you just say, that was a thought, or even any critical thought, unkind thought, you label it. It works like a great big stop sign. You can say, oh, there I go again. I don't want to be in that place. I need to be moving forward. Or you say, my loved one would want me to move forward in this case. Or you say, if it was an unkind thing that you thought, that was critical, that wasn't like me, that was critical, that was unkind. And sometimes when I get negative thoughts, I just said my one, I say, oh, that wasn't like me. I usually don't think negative thoughts. And that's the first step. The second step, you've heard so many times, is simply to replace it. If someone says something unkind and you think, how could she say that? Then you just say, hey, if she knew me better, then she would never have said that. I'll get to know her. You replace it, and then you focus forward. And there's so many people who are anguishing over decisions they made in the past that they cannot change. And so what I suggest to them in loving kindness is I just say, hey, say this. And you've heard this before. It's a loving reminder. I made the best decision I could with what I knew back then. I know more now. I'm enlightened. I'm this, I've learned more. I've progressed, and I'll do better in the future. But you get yourself out of that place by saying, hey, that was who I was. I'm not that person anymore, and I'm going to do better. And so it's called focusing forward. So the 3 steps are labeling, replacing, and focusing forward. And that's in my book, Believe It, Become It. Yeah.
That's awesome. I really like it. So I always say you need to own your situation where you are in it, no matter if it's a positive or a negative situation. And you will have setbacks in your life, always, because it's life. Yeah, it's not some kind of scientific stuff what we are doing in a laboratory here. Yeah, so everybody will experience some setbacks, and no super successful person in private or in business life had no setbacks in his life. It's just not that. And I mean, we also know life is not really like on Insta or Instagram, but okay, a lot of people think it's just a funny side, or it's just the good side. Yeah. So
yeah.
What I also see is when people are not able to overcome setbacks, or this example you gave me, 21 years ago, her husband passed away. I think a lot of people take these things as an excuse why they don't progress anymore, or why they don't stand up again, and all this. What do you think about this?
I love what you just said, why they don't stand up again. Because yes, I said sit in it, but then stand up again. And I think you're right. I think it is, Stephen, an excuse, because when you say, oh, well, I'm a widow, or I can't possibly do that. Oh, yes, you can. And that begins with your belief in yourself, and your belief. And that's why I named that book. It was my 5th book, Believe It, Become It, because you must believe before you can become, Yeah, it's an incredibly important principle.
100%, definitely. Yeah. So let's go back to the networking stuff. When people are a little bit more in alignment with themselves, that's nearly a question we get every single time in our coaching sessions or something like that. How can I connect with other people? How can I reach out to other people? How can I network? How can I get in contact with the right persons or with interesting people? Not just in business, even in private life. Yeah. So what's your tip on that?
Well, it makes me smile. You make me laugh, because I think, how crazy is that? I was born, I told you my age, I was born in the 40s.
I still don't believe it. I know it already, but I still can't believe it.
So in the 40s, I mean, I was born 4 years after the World War II stopped, right? We ended the war. So I went through the 50s. I was growing up in the 50s. We didn't have anything like we have now. I was 60s, 70s, and the 80s. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or we didn't have email. And so it makes me laugh when they say, how could I reach out? And I go, are you kidding? Are you kidding? We live in the day and age of connection. So here's some of my suggestions. Find like-minded, like-hearted people, and they're easy to fine. You can find them, and you attend the events, the live events. Tonight, I'm going to a magnificent concert. There's no question that whomever I sit next to, I'll be able to make a friend with them, because I'll start asking them about them, and we'll have a conversation, and I'll make a friend. So many times people think, oh, what will they think of me? Oh, I can't do that. And I think, what? If you really want to have a plethora of friends and acquaintances and people with whom you know, that bring richness to your life, you must reach out. And that is so easy nowadays with all the social media. And go on to some of the social media and just say, I'm looking for a friend. Be so truthful. I found that just pure authenticity, it served me really well. You know, so many women don't tell their age. So many women think, well, if I had 8 children, I would never tell, because zero population, you know, that people would judge me. Just be authentic. Just be who you are. And the people who are non-judgmental and who want to connect with you, they'll reach out. I'm constantly reaching out. Every day I teach on Zoom. Every day I get to share of myself. And here's the important thing. Don't make it about yourself. Make it about them. Reach out and say, how can I serve you? Love begets love. Service begets service. Friendship begets friend. You know, you reach out and you say, how can I help you? And Stephen, you are such a beautiful example of this. And I have to share this with your audience, because Stephen invited my team, and I thought, oh my gosh, he's going to send me a bill or something. He didn't. My whole team came on. He spent 1 hour with my team teaching us of one of his many geniuses, but being able to do a better job, the tips and tricks on LinkedIn. And we needed to know that. We're on LinkedIn, but we knew we could do a better job communicating with you know, and attracting and connecting with the women of the world. And so he taught us out of the goodness of his heart. So then when he says, would you like to do an interview? Of course, I'm going to jump through the Zoom line to be able to say, yes, what can I do to serve you? But this is how it works. And we all know this. It's a loving reminder, again, that you need to put yourself out and say, I'm looking for a friend. Or don't say, I'm looking for a friend. Say, what can I do to help you? What can I do to help you? And always you can do that. And they'll say, well, I've got this business. And then you reach out, you connect, you serve them. The perfect example is what Stephen did with my team. And that, it makes you want to then reciprocate. Just reciprocate and do something for that person. So the many times that I've been around the world, the thousands of stages upon which I have spoken or performed as a performer, as a musician, because I didn't tell you, but our family, because I'm an entrepreneur and I have a lot of children and I am a musician, I play the keyboard, I sing. And so when the children, I started having these children, my first 4 were girls. And that was the quartet, right? So then
nice.
I would call and book, you know, again, proactively calling the service organizations and say, how would you like to have a family come and perform? And they're like, wonderful. And so the first time we performed to 1,500 people then were when my daughters were 3, 5, 7, and 9. And that went on to having 12 years when they were better, and we had, you know, agents booking us. And then we'd leave in May and came back in September and performed at fairs. And we performed, you know, a set from the 40s, the 50s, 60s, but most of it was country bluegrass. And then we ended with patriotic. And so having the opportunity to perform in 42 states, the United Nations, and in Europe, I was able to then connect with so many thousands of people. And who goes to fairs? Yeah. You probably know this, families. And they stand there, and I mean, they sit there and then they stand up. Of course, I'm in America, and we'd end with God Bless the USA. And I got a standing ovation because everybody stands at that, that song. So a built-in, we call it a built-in standing O. Yeah. Putting yourself out there. So the question to your wonderful listeners, and I appreciate you being on his, you know, in his audience and listening to this, and I'm trying to eliminate that word from my vocabulary. And I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
What is it that sings to your heart? What is it? And I'm asking your audience, what sings to your heart? And so when you say, well, I do this for work, but I really love doing this, then I say, do it as much as you can, learn how to monetize it, and then learn how to share it with the world. So that's what I did with women, with Win Win Women. And I invite you to go to winwinwomen.com. And after the many years of writing the books and teaching and educating, and I thought, I'm not even touching a tiny piece of this wonderful, of the 3.9 billion women that are on the planet. And I realized, and I should have understood this sooner, but I realized that it's not about you, Paula. It's about finding the experts in every topic and giving them a platform, giving them a place. Well, years ago, technology had not caught up. We couldn't have done what we're doing now. So this is what we're building. Any woman at any time of the day or night can access an expert in real time, live, on any topic for free. So that then these 3.9 billion women can access and talk in real time to an expert on any topic. And that's hopefully going to be a legacy, to be able to bring this to the world. And that's what we're building. And it's being built, but there's a show going on right now. There we have over 200 wonderful experts, but it's winwinwomen.com. Yeah.
That's awesome. I already heard a little bit from you before we started the interview, actually. And
yeah,
go to this webpage. Believe me, everybody who is watching, everybody who is listening here, even if you are a man, go to this website. I know you know a bunch of women and just forward it to them, because this is super, super valuable stuff. Believe me.
thank you.
And I'm sure this will be a massive, massive legacy. I mean, my own opinion is it is already a massive legacy what you built in the past. What is so fascinating talking to you, Paula, is, I mean, literally when I heard how old you are the first time, I actually did not believe it, because you are not even close to any other women with this age. But what is so interesting is when I hear what you already did and what you experienced and how many different things you just tried and you executed in your life, and you are still so open-minded, and you are appreciating the future and the technology, and you are including all this technology. How are you doing this? Because I mean,
that's a good question.
Yeah,
I get this question.
Really,
and
yeah. I mean, that's super serious, yeah. Because when I grew up, my first TV was black and white TV.
well, mine was too.
I mean, there was no cell phone around it. There was no internet around. I had my first computer when I was 15 years old. My first smartphone when I was 30 or 25 or something like that. Yeah. So it was not even around. But you have a couple more years even. Yeah. You
a couple more years.
Have no problems with technology, Zoom, online platforms, traveling the world. How are you doing this and adapting to this technology and to this development?
Well, I appreciate that. And I do have an answer, because especially other women are like, so how do you do it? How could you possibly give all those children and now 26 grandchildren? Because of our performing years, Stephen, and we were together and we rehearsed and then we travel and then we performed together for all those years and all those thousands, my children love each other deeply. We are a very close-knit family, and they all wanted to live by each other because that was like their comfort zone, right? So when they first started their careers, they all left and they were working in different states and different places. And then one by one, they've come back, and now all of them, all 8, live within 30 minutes of me. So I have all these 26 grandchildren. Wow. But here's the secret. Here's the secret. Compartmentalization. I compartmentalize. I get up early in the morning and I have my morning routine that sets my day. And then I move on, and through the day I work. And I don't even call it work really, because I love what I do, and I'm growing the network, and I'm teaching, and I'm doing these things. And then I stop at 6 p.m. I never, ever go past 6 p.m. In fact, if a gal on my team called me, she says, it's 10 minutes to 6. Because they know that at 6 o'clock, then I am doing family time. So let me just tell you yesterday. So yesterday, went through the day, had 7 different Zoom calls, meetings, and, you know, this wonderful opportunity to teach and to work with my team. And then I left. I actually left at 5. I left a little earlier, and I picked up a grandchild who is autistic and has a special school. I picked him up, and we sang Christmas songs all the way to the restaurant where I had ordered a meal for his family. I took it to his family. We sat around their table. We talked about, but I do this every week with each family. So I have a very close relationship with all those. They call me Zippity Doodah Grammy. Anyway, so then I left at 6:15. I left, and I went to the concert of another, and my husband joined us then, and went to a concert of 2 other grandchildren, and then took them for dessert. I had way too many calories yesterday, but we went to dessert with this other family who lives, you really can only do this when you live close, you know, but they live close. And so then got home and held my husband's hand and watched one episode of our favorite show. And we have lots of different shows, but we watched one episode, went to bed, got up, you know, and started my routine again. And yet I had that quality time with 2 of the 8. And then now tonight I'm going to another Christmas concert, and another family bringing them dinner and sitting around their table. So what I'm suggesting, not that people do what I do, but find time to be with the ones you love. And all while I was a parenting expert, they'd say, oh, well, give them quality time. And I say, give them quality and quantity. There's no substitute for time spent with your loved ones. Mm. It's true. And so that's my way of doing it, is spending time and just compartmentalizing. So yesterday, when I was with my team and having my meetings, and like now, I'm not thinking about my family. I'm compartmentalizing, and I'm focusing on whatever it is, whether I'm writing. And I'm also a prolific reader. I give away boxes of books, but I have over 2,000 books in my house right now. And what I do is I read and learn from others, and then it helps you. Getting outside of your world by bringing, these fantastic experts that have spent so much time putting their wisdom into a book, and we don't read them. And so I really believe in reading and learning about the world, and learning about principles that will bless your life and your posterity's lives, because you can't possibly know it all. And yet we've got books, and now they're so easy to read right on our phones. So that's another thing I believe has helped me through the years.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can't even agree more, because I'm structuring my whole life and my whole days through massive routines. And if I would not have my routines, there was no way I could live the life I built for myself and also for my family, or be able to run 4 different companies at the same time in the US and also in Europe. And I need my routines. And for me, for example, health is one of my biggest values I have in life. And I put a lot of time and effort into staying healthy, being healthy, feeling healthy in all the areas of my life. Yeah, not just physically, but also mentally, and also in my business life, in my family life, also when it comes to finances and wealth and all these things. But there is no way I could do all these things when I would not have my routines, my morning routine, my lunch routine, my evening routine, and when I structure all the things into my life. Otherwise, they just don't happen anymore, because family time or quality time, what you mentioned, this does not happen by accident.
No.
You need to think about it, plan it, talk to them, schedule something, put it in your schedule, and then it will work. And then you don't have the problem. Oh, I don't have time, I forgot, or something else came up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see already, Paula. I think we need to go on and on. We could go on and on and on and on. And I would love to go on, but I really, really appreciate your time. So thank you already so much.
You're so welcome. I'd like to close with a quote. Is that all right?
Oh, please. Yes, please. Yeah.
This is one of my heroes. Mother Teresa said, "Spread love wherever you go. First of all, in your own home. Give love to your husband, your wife, your children, your next door neighbor." And here's my favorite line and my favorite quote. She said, "Let no one ever come to you without leaving better and happier." And she closed it by saying, "Be the living expression of God's kindness, kindness in your face, kindness in your smile, kindness in your warm greeting." Close quote.
Oh,
That's to leave with your beautiful, wonderful audience. And thank you for allowing me to share some of my thoughts today, Stephen.
100%, Paula. Thank you so much. So if somebody wants to reach out to you and connect with you, we definitely go to post the website Win-Win-Women. But
I encourage it, men, women, children. Paula,
how can they connect with you? How can they reach out to you?
Yes, just email Paula, 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 at winwinwomen.com. winwinwomen.com. And that's that website I'd love to have you go to. And anyone who is interested in nonprofit global work, then I also, as part of my nonprofit, have Women's Global Alliance.com. Women's, plural, Global Alliance.com. So Win-Win Women and Women's Global Alliance, both at .com. All right. Thank you.
Paula, thank you so much. That was really, really awesome. I learned a bunch of things, and I'm 100% sure a lot of people out there also learned tremendous stuff, not just women, but also a lot of men, because everything you told us basically is also applicable for us as men. So for that, and for all of you listeners out there, I wish you a lot of success, and just do what you just heard and reach out to Paula if you like to know more and have a great and successful entrepreneurship and life. Thank you for now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.